Hello and welcome to the Blood Red's morning bulletin. Today we're doing the last part in our series where we discuss Liverpool's transfer plans for every area, and this time we're discussing the attack, which is probably going to be the most interesting part of the summer transfer window. There's a lot of players entering their last year of their contracts, and Liverpool are going to have to make some big decisions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at it from a financial standpoint, this summer's kind of the last one that Liverpool can actually make some money back on obviously the front three. So, yeah, this summer's going to be pivotal in not just next season, but the seasons ahead and how Liverpool plan and either sell or renew. So, yeah, it's definitely going to be a big, big, big summer.
Absolutely, and I think it's going to be interesting because you have a lot of players with a lot of reasons for why you should keep them, like Firmino, Salah, and Mane. But surely Liverpool will not keep all three of them, considering their age and obviously their contract situations as well.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way they can renew all three. Especially if you take into consideration, the reported figures that Mohamed Salah wants to renew. There's no way Liverpool can justify renewing Salah's contract and a bumper one at that, and then also renewing Mane and Firmino. There's absolutely no way. It's not possible that the club can. I mean, if the club maybe had PSG money or Man City money, it might be an option, but not with the strict model that FSG adheres to. There's absolutely no way. You would think maybe at least one will go, but it could be two. By the end of it, if there's a good offer in for two of the three.
So you think it's a possibility that one of Liverpool's sort of old trio, the old gang, could leave this summer. Do you not think it's also possible that potentially one of them just runs out their contract like Gini Wijnaldum, stays until 2023 and then leaves Liverpool on a free contract?
Yeah, I think. I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, but you could see a scenario in which maybe two of the three are sold this summer. To claw back some of the money that was invested in them. But then, on the other hand, you could easily see one being sold, and I would say maybe likely Mane could be sold, and then Firmino would be allowed to run down his contract and stay a further season. Um, so that could be, another realistic scenario. I think the Mo Salah situation is kind of the most tricky to kind of call. Obviously there's been talks over his contract have stalled, and we had that interaction was a couple of weeks ago when his agent basically just did a bunch of laughing emojis to Klopp's comments about the club have did all they can to satisfy the player. So things are kind of there's that. I think there's a lot of tension between um, not maybe Salah and Klopp, but obviously Salah's agent and the club. So it's difficult to read what way the Salah situation is gonna, you know, what way it's gonna finish. Um, and in that case, then you would probably like to see Salah leave this summer for Liverpool to get big money for him, or as much money as possible. And I think too, you also have to consider that two of the three of them are already 30, and no, sorry, Firmino's 30, and Mane and Salah are going to be 30 soon enough. I think Mane's actually his 30th is coming up in the next couple of weeks, and Salah's what in June. So yeah, they're entering into that dreaded, 30 bracket. And saying that, they're all supreme athletes and they all look after themselves. So being 30 is not the death sentence for a player's career that it was maybe 25, 30 years ago. Especially Salah, who takes his top off every time he scores, and you just see that he's just a super ripped, toned athlete. So I mean, yeah, the age thing is always something to consider, but yeah, it's really difficult to read. As you say, two of the three could leave, one could leave, and then another one could be allowed to run down their contract, and then you definitely do think one of them will be extended and kept on, for the next 4 or 5 years. It's just trying to work out which one at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I said 2 of the 3 will leave. That was not from me, and I certainly don't think
Yes, you did, man. You did say it.
that that's a high possibility. It was just a question. I don't think Liverpool will be selling 2 of the 3 on a permanent move. It would be extremely surprising, I think, if that was to happen this summer. One of them could potentially leave for sure. But I think here, like you say, it's going to be very interesting to see who who it will be, because it could be any of the 3 at the moment. One area I think where Liverpool may have to strengthen even further, regardless of whether Mohamed Salah leaves or not, is probably on the right wing, where we saw at AFCON when Liverpool did have to sort of survive without Salah. Oxlade-Chamberlain was forced on to play on the right wing, and then Kyle Gordon as well had to come up from the academy to cover. And I think in the summer, do you think it's a possibility that Liverpool will go for someone like Luis Diaz type on the right wing to potentially replace or provide backup for Mohamed Salah?
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one in the sense that if Salah stays, they're even used for 4 or 5 years, Liverpool are going to find it extremely difficult to buy a backup of substantial quality because they know they're only going to play. Salah really doesn't get hurt. I mean, how many games has he missed through injury since he's joined Liverpool? It hasn't been many. So any player that does join, they're going to know, look, you're only going to play 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games a year. So you're not going to get, the likes of Rafinha or Jared Bowen or whoever Liverpool has been linked with going to join the club just to play backup to Salah. And at the same time, Liverpool can't spend 50 million on a backup for Salah. So whoever they get in is going to be of lower quality. And yeah, as you say, during AFCON, they kind of struggled. I think Jota played there, Minamino played there, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain played there. But if Salah stays, they aren't going to get they're not going to get a Luis Diaz on the other wing. Absolutely not. Because whoever comes knows they ain't going to play that much. So it may just have to be a body in there, just just a plug on the right hand side. But if Salah were to leave, then that's a different argument. They could go for a top notch right sided forward, knowing that Salah's not there to eat up all the playing time. So yeah, I think it would really depend on. Yeah, I have no doubt Liverpool need someone on the right hand side, but the quality of that player only depends on whether Salah stays or goes.
Yeah, I mean, it will certainly have to be probably Liverpool will probably have to sort of shop outside the traditional markets. But in all fairness to Liverpool, they have done well in those traditional markets. If Salah does stay, Kostas Tsimikas from Greece has done very well. Then you have Takumi Minamino coming from Salzburg, so might not necessarily be as that bad of a signing, even if a backup does come. And I think one trait that they will look for in a potential recruit this summer is versatility. So not someone who can play on the right, but potentially other areas of the pitch as well.
Yeah, I think Jurgen Klopp kind of values versatility. If you have a player that can play, it can operate in maybe one or two different positions, it helps the squad. If that player then just needs to, it's almost like pieces on the jigsaw. You kind of just slide one up and put another one in, or vice versa. You can helps the squad, helps rotation, and yeah, you'd imagine Klopp will try to bring in a player who is versatile, who can maybe play in multiple positions as opposed just to being locked into one.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be an interesting summer ahead, both in terms of incoming. I mean, we didn't even discuss Fabio Carvalho, who could potentially play on those front 3 positions. Although he predominantly, I think he'll be, if he does come to Liverpool, he'll probably play in midfield first. But someone like him, and even Harvey Elliott, who has played on the right wing, do you think Liverpool could promote from within, or have sort of youngsters coming through the ranks to replace these aging players gradually?
Yeah, I mean that could be an option. I mean, we saw Klopp, play the likes of Kate Gordon this season in the Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. But I think that is a big burden on a youth player to kind of try and replace, one or some of those three. I think in that case, Liverpool would go into the transfer market and bring someone in as opposed to maybe promoting from within. But I mean, as we've seen, Klopp is, he's open to promoting youth if they deserve it. And we've seen that with Harvey Elliott. So I mean, it is a possibility, but in terms of replacing any of those three, or two of the three, I definitely do think Klopp will turn to the transfer market, just like he did with Luis Diaz. In many ways, Luis Diaz is a replacement for Sadio Mane. We just don't know it yet. So yeah, I do think Liverpool and Klopp would turn to the transfer market first before promoting from within.
I think that about wraps it up. Certainly some interesting decisions to be made in the transfer window ahead. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Thank you for joining me, Emmet. And make sure to check out the rest of the Blood Red content going out today and the Liverpool.com website as well for all the written content. Thank you very much.